Hello Art Beaters, Becky here with a new video and I hope you enjoy. If you want to keep up to date on all things art beads, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel right now. Enjoy! Alright, so let's talk about some simple wire techniques, simple loops, wrapped loops, and messy wrapped loops. So I just wanted to give you some examples of what that might look like in your jewelry designs. So these earrings have wrapped loops and they have simple loops too. The eye pins come already with a simple loop on the end, but this is a nice example of how those wrapped loops can really secure those dangles. So if you are wanting extra security, the wrapped loops are not really going to come undone. So this is great for making really secure beaded links or dangles. I also find that wrapped loops, because you can coil that wire around, it really holds the beads in place nicely. So if you want a really nice tight hold of the beads on your dangle or your head pin, wrapped loops can really help. And look at those fun beads. I just love that check glass moon. So pretty. Really fun. Yeah, a lot of people do prefer wrapped loops because they are so secure. And this piece too has simple loops and wrapped loops. Simple loops are nice. So as you can see, like, wrapped loops can create a little bit more like length or metal in your piece. If you just want something super simple, do a simple loop. And a lot of times a simple loop, if you're like attaching to a wrapped loop, so let's say this was the bottom of your dangle, sometimes it's harder to attach a wrapped loop to another wrapped loop because there's no opening point. If you don't want to deal with that, you can do a simple loop as well. So all kinds of different loop options. Hi Deanna, good to see you. And then this is an example of a messy wrapped loop, which is great on a drop like this. I'll show you how to do that with these pretty prestige crystals here. So let's start with a simple loop. That's generally where you would start. So we'll just put some beads on here. We'll do that. We'll just do a fun little design with these prestige crystals and put that golden topaz in the middle. Isn't that pretty? So nice. And there are quite a few ways to do simple loops. Everybody has their preferred way. I know Cynthia does it a little differently from how I do it. We have great instructions and videos on our website, so you can kind of really take a look at all of the different ways to do this. Oh, this is so pretty. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Just as a bracelet focal with just chain, that'd be gorgeous. So pretty. I might have to do that. Just a simple little, what a great gift idea, stocking stuffer. Just put some prestige crystals on a link like this, add chain and a clasp. You've got a gorgeous bracelet that looks really high fashion. Easy. So beautiful. Okay, so I've got my beads on here. I'm gonna need chain nose pliers. We've got here, look, they've got CR. That means craft room. They belong to the Art Beads craft room. So what I like to do, you're going to make a little bit of a bend in your wire, and I like to make that bend as close to the beads as possible to make that simple loop as tight as I can against my beads. So that's how I start it. Then you've got your round nose pliers, and I kind of hold them like this. They're not completely up and down. I kind of hold them at an angle. And then I just fold my wire over. Then I move my round nose pliers up out of the way so I can continue that loop down, just like that. So as you can see, that's actually a really good simple loop, really close to the beads. And then you're gonna want some cutters or trimmers. I really love the Tronex cutters because they have a nice tapered end that can get really close into those beads, and you're just gonna trim that wire. There we go. And so then you're not done yet. You got your simple loop done, but what we like to do here to make sure they're nice and secure, you kind of want to wiggle that so the end of the wire is super close to the start of your loop. So there's no, and you'll fix this too when you're attaching it to other things. You just want to make sure that, that end of your loop is nice and close to the start so you don't have any gaps. And I would check the end of the eye pin too. I mean, the end of the eye pin comes with a simple loop already attached, which is nice, but sometimes you're going to want to make sure that it's really close to the start. So really nice simple loop there. That's how I do mine. Is there a way to sharpen those cutters? Somebody tried to cut memory wire with mine. Yeah, you don't want to use these kinds of cutters with your memory wire. It will dull your cutters. I don't know if there's a way to sharpen them. I'll have to check in with our product team and see. But if you're cutting memory wire, you're going to want to use memory wire shears like these. These are memory wire shears. They're made to cut memory wire. So that is a good tip. Don't ever use your Nicetronics cutters on your memory wire. It can dull your cutters. So really nice. So really nice simple loop here. Pretty easy. If you want to make it even easier, you can use the simple loopers, or well, not simple loopers, one-step loopers. So these are the one-step looper pliers. We love them. And this one, we have different sizes. I believe this one is the biggest one, but you can make loops in all kinds of different sizes with those different one-step loopers. And they make making simple loops so easy and fast. So there are different instances where you would use a one-step looper or you would use the traditional method. Sometimes if you're using beads of like crazy shapes, like maybe ones that aren't perfectly round, like a flower bead, that's when I would use the regular method, because you might not be able to get as close to the beads as you would like with the one-step looper. But I would definitely use the one-step looper if you're making a lot of simple loops, because it does make it super fast. So I've got my beads on my eye pin here. All you're gonna do, you just thread this wire through the middle of the tool. So right above these two little prongs here and below that silver peg. Now there's a hole on the other side of the pliers that you're going to feed that wire through, just like that. And you're going to want to make sure that you're pressing the beads nice and close to that little prong here. And then all you do, look at that. So easy, so beautiful. And of course you're going to want to go back in and kind of cinch that loop up. So I just closed it a little bit more after making the loop with the tool. Easy. Love the one-step looper. I've showed this tool before in past videos. We've got video tutorials for how to use it. It really is a great tool. If you're going to be making a lot of simple loops, you're going to want this. So like, let's say you're making a beaded necklace strand with your own beaded links. You definitely want the one-step looper. It is great. Makes it so easy to make those simple loops. So easy. So then once you've perfected your simple loops, whether you're making them with the one-step looper or the traditional method with chain nose pliers or round nose pliers, you're probably going to graduate to the wrapped loops. I am pretty good at wrapped loops. I've made a lot of them in my day, and it is also pretty straightforward. So what you're going to do, you're going to put your beads on. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to make a little dangle with a wrapped loop. So what you do is you take your chain nose pliers and you're going to bring it right above your beads. Now you're going to fold this wire over the nose of your chain nose pliers. So you can make that gap between the beads a little longer depending on where you fold your wire over. And you have to keep in mind how much excess of the eye pin or head pin that you have when you're doing that. This is a really long one, so I could probably make that length a little bit longer. But then you also have to think, how long do you want that coil at the top of your wrapped loop to be? Typically they're not very long, so we're going to keep it on the short side. So I'm going to fold my wire over just like that, 90-degree angle, and then you come in with your round nose pliers, put it up vertically like that, fold the wire over, And again, this is another spot where you got to think, how big do you want that loop at the top of your wrapped loop to be? And sometimes that's important if you're using a jump ring as a connection point, if you're threading a thick stringing material through that loop. You want to keep in mind, how big do I want that loop to be? So you would set it on different stations on your pliers. But we're just going to go on the lower side. So then you turn your pliers. I had them vertical. You're going to turn them horizontal so you can bring that loop all the way around, just like that. Now we're going to start the coil, the wrap. So you can do this with your fingers if the wire is pliable enough, but I'm going to use my pliers. I think it just makes the wrap look cleaner. And you just start wrapping that wire around the stem of your head pin, right above your beads. And as you get closer, it's really going to secure the beads in place. So I've got my wrap all the way down to the beads. You can stop here and cut your wire. You can also kind of wrap over the top of the bead, which it does look really cool, especially on top of a bicone that has kind of a tapered shape. So you can keep going or just stop the coil. See how fun that is? It's almost like a little bead cap. So you can cut above the beads or kind of wrap down onto the bead, your choice. It's up to you what style you're going for. So I've cut my wire, and then you've got this end here. You kind of want to use your chain nose pliers to just tuck it in so it looks nice and neat. There, so cute. So that's a wrapped loop. What size wire is best for a wrapped loop? This is a 24 gauge wire, which is really easy to work with. It is easier to do the wraps with thinner gauge wire. 21 gauge is nice, that's a little sturdier. 18 gauge is going to be a little more thicker, a little chunkier. It all just depends on the bead hole size and what kind of look you're going for. So this is 24 gauge. It's a very fine, flexible wire. It's got a very delicate look. If you're using bigger beads, you want a more chunky, sturdy look, you're going to use a thicker gauge wire. I've got some more examples under this tray of wrapped loops, wire wraps, all kinds of different things, so we can take a look at that. You make it look so easy. Yeah, I've done a lot of wire wraps, so the more you do, the more you practice this technique, the better you will get at it, I promise. Okay, so that's wrapped loops. A little more steps than a simple loop, but still, once you get it, you got it. You're gonna do great. So now let's do some messy wraps on top of these beautiful pendants. I love these. I've got a couple different wire sizes here for the messy wraps. I think I'm gonna start with the 24 gauge wire just because it is a little more flexible, really easy to work with, the 24 gauge. So for a messy wrap, I'm gonna cut about, 6 to 8 inches of wire. I want to have enough where I can really make the wrap messy. So what you do here, I'm going to do it on this one. I think that color contrast is really fun. So let's see. So I've got my wire through, and I'm just going to bend it so we've got this top wire. I haven't done a messy wrapped loop in a hot minute, so we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to use my pliers here to make a bend at the top like you would a wrapped loop, and then use my round nose pliers here. So you're going to start this like you would just a regular wrapped loop. And then, oops, and it's a little more tricky because you've got 2 wire ends. I'm going to start my wrapped loop here. And I just kind of start the wrapped loop a little bit. And then you've got this other tail of wire. You're gonna wanna wrap that around as well. So I'm just gonna start that too, so we can kind of get things a little more secure here. And we've got a video for how to do this too. Cynthia shows you how to do the messy wrapped loops. The beauty of this one is it's a very organic look, so it doesn't have to be perfect, precise. it can look kind of messy. So yeah, so I started my wrapped loop with the one side of my wire, and then I brought my other end of wire, wrapped that around the stem of the wrapped loop as well. And I'm just kind of continuing with that. Now with this, because this is a pendant with a hole at the top, I like to cover that hole with the wrap so you don't even see the stringing hole. And this is turning out to be a very neat messy wrapped. And you kind of want to adjust the position of your wrap as you go. With the 24 gauge wire, that's pretty easy to do. So I'm just kind of wrapping, coiling my wire around that stringing hole. And if you find that you're getting a gap, just go over it, because it's a messy wrap. It can look kind of organic and wrappy. Super fun. So that's a messy wrapped loop. Really nice for drop shapes like this. And I'm just gonna trim this wire here, right there. And so what you do want to make sure is you've got two ends of wire that you're working with. Make sure to end those wire ends on the same side, and that'll be the back side of your pendant. You can kind of tuck and trim those wire ends into your messy wrap too. And then if it's to the back of your pendant, the front will look something like this. So super easy to do a messy wrap too. Great technique for drop shapes like this. And these would be super cute earrings. Yeah, with these. How fun is that? Ooh, love it. Might have to make a whole set here. So cute. So super easy. You could even add your little dangle here as just a little drop of color there, or even attach these, make that an earring, and then this is your little necklace. You could put this on a silk ribbon. So easy. So that's why I love all of those techniques. Messy wraps, simple loops, wrapped loops, great intro into kind of getting more familiar with wire and working with wire. This bracelet was made with the one-step looper, so quick to make all these beautiful dangles, and then these were made with more traditional chain nose and round nose plier techniques. So something for everyone with the simple loops and the messy wraps and the wrapped loops. And I do have more wire inspiration to share with you guys. I've got another tray under here. So if you're very familiar with messy wraps, simple loops, or you just want to move on to the next level of wire wrapping, we do have inspiration for that as well in our design studio. So many fun things that you can do with wire. The sky is the limit. Here's some more examples of messy wraps. You could put a bead above the messy wrap, so make that stem of your messy wrap really long, add a bead, and then make your wrapped loop at the top. You could add beads straight into the messy wrap as you're wrapping. All kinds of different ways you can play with that messy wrap technique. And these are just little gemstone pendants that come on a strand of several together. So these are from the same bead strand. So you could have a lot of fun playing with all of those different gemstone pendants. How fun is that? Really great way to make your own bails. This is a wire wrapping technique. You can see the wire is kind of woven together, and then it's another wrap at the top. And then this one is even double strand of wire for an even sturdier loop there at the top. Really nice on these gemstone donut pendants. Same kind of concept here. You've got the wire wrapped around the actual donut with beads on the wire on top of the donut. That's such a cool kind of texture and color contrast. And then again, a nice wrapped loop at the top. So you can see even with these more intricate wire projects, at some point you're always going to go back to the basics. We've got the wraps at the top, and then we've got this nice wire spiral here to finish the ends of the wire. So beautiful. Simple wire coiling around different findings is another great way to use wire. I just wrapped these beads onto a TierraCast bangle here just by making simple wire coils, and you can do that with any kind of bead. I've got bicones and flower beads in here. So pretty. You can even just use the wire to create the entire shape of your pendant. So this is kind of a nautilus shape created by wire in different gauges wrapped together, and then beads for a little texture on the outside, a nice little nautilus color. These are all Design Studio tutorials, so you will find free instructions for all of these in our Design Studio. I know this one is a popular one. It's so pretty. Isn't that beautiful? Then you can just make some earrings, hang this on a necklace. So nice. Could even be a nice Christmas ornament. You could do like red and green colors. I'm definitely in the Christmas mood. Here's another example of just coiling beads onto a project. These are some beautiful druzy beads on a fun nun design pendant. So fun. I love the organic look of that. Another great example here of shaping wire into anything you can dream of. This is a kilt pin or a shawl pin made entirely from Art Beads designer wire. And the beauty of this is you can even add beads into the design. We've got a couple other examples where there are dangles hanging off of the pin. Super cool. So neat. You can make anything with wire, really. This is another one. I love using wire and beads to fill a frame. So these earrings have this wonderful crescent moon shape. So I just used wire to fill that shape with kind of these wonderful glowing moon color seed beads. So really wire wrapping can be as simple or as intricate as you make it. That's the beauty of it. There is something for all levels when it comes to wire wrapping. This is another example of just coiling wire onto a frame, and a great use of those TierraCast Guru beads. So these are just wire hoops, and fire polished beads were coiled onto the wire. The ends were joined inside a Guru bead, which has a loop here. Typically this would be showcased at the bottom of a necklace with a tassel, but here it's used for a connection point at the top of the earring. So really clever way to use those TierraCast Guru beads in a wonderful wire wrapping look. So pretty. Like I was showing you with the wrapped loops, using the wire to coil around the bead almost as a frame. That technique is really on display here with these beads. The wire continues across the bead for a little added kind of spiral texture. And all of the links and jump rings were made from wire. So that's the beauty of wire too. You can make your own jump rings, you can make your own findings. If you don't have an eye pin that's long enough for the beads you want to showcase, you can just use wire to make your own beaded links. Wire really is a great supply to have on hand, because it can really help you out. If you run out of jump rings, you can make your own jump rings. If you need a clasp, you can make your own clasp. This clasp was made with wire. All kinds of ways to use wire. You can coil it. This is several strands of wire twisted together to make a really fun textured bangle. Oh my gosh, it's so inspiring to look at all of the different ways to use wire. And then this one is, we made this kind of focal bar with wire and then coiled the gemstone pendants onto the wire. And then you even use the wire to attach your silk ribbon strands to the pendant. So great. So wire is a great tool to have on hand for all kinds of different techniques and design needs. It's wonderful. Wonderful world of wire. We love it. And we have really great tools for working with wire as well. This bracelet was made with the 3D bracelet jig. So it's a nice jig with pegs where you can form the wire into different patterns like this. We have artistic wire finding forms that will help you make ear wires with your wire, or clasps like this one in different styles and shapes. We have the coiling gizmo that will help you achieve something like this. We have all kinds of wonderful wire tools, including the basics like chain nose pliers. Round nose pliers are a must for wire working. Cutters too. So all kinds of wonderful wire tools, in addition to all kinds of beautiful wire wire options. We have sterling silver wire. Our Art Beads designer wire comes in all kinds of great colors. Artistic wire comes in wonderful colors too. So we have a lot of options if you're working with wire, and I know we have some really great wire workers in the community. So I would encourage you to join our Facebook group for serious art beaders. I know there are some great wire artists in that group that share their designs all the time. So make sure to join that group. It's our private Facebook group where you can share jewelry designs with each other, and we often have a lot of fun in that group with like our Beadtober challenge and other fun things. So make sure to join that group if you haven't already. You'll find even more inspiration for wire and other techniques from our awesome Art Beads community. So that is our inspiration for wire working. I hope that gave you a little refresher on the basics.